Welcome to another episode of Movies That Make Us. I'm Jake.
I'm Tracy.
And I'm Val.
And with us, we have special guest from Stolendroids Podcast, Collin Farmer.
What's
hey,
up,
Collin.
Who's the
Welcome
handsome
to the
devil?
show.
Oh,
This beautiful face right here.
this is why he likes to come on our show, because they're not as nice to him over at Stolendroids. We don't call him handsome devil. Although they've stopped killing you off, I hear.
Yeah, it's so weird. I wonder who made that happen. Like someone broke tradition or something.
Yeah.
Jake, I love your shirt.
Thank you. I wore it. It says that's fair. I can't. It's hard because the screen that I see is opposite of how I feel like I'm moving, and so it's mirrored, and it just anyway. So that was the awkward moving around, and I should have just left it alone. It says that's fair, just so you guys know.
I mean, you're in the lake, so that's got to be.
I'm not just at any lake. I am visiting one of my favorite lakes in New Hampshire, Lake Winnipesaukee. Here behind me, these are the little piers at Lake Winnipesaukee.
How do you spell that?
WINNI PA USA is USA. Yeah, USA. I don't know. I still don't know, even after watching the movie. The joys of, and of course we are today talking about What About Bob. As you can see, Tracy is in as Bob. I'm in as What About Jake. That's what we're talking about today. One of my favorite vacation movies. And it's perfect for a holiday weekend, even though they're going in What About Bob, it's over Labor Day. This one is over, and right now it's Memorial Day, but it's all the same, right?
You know, a lot of times we mix them up. We'll be like, oh, it's Labor Day coming up, and it's Memorial Day, and vice versa.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
I mean, as long as you don't, go to different celebrations, then you're okay.
Yeah, it's totally fine. But yeah, so we're talking about What About Bob, which is a classic. Bill Murray, Richard Dreyfuss were the two main characters in it, Bob Wiley and Leo Marvin. And I was reading as I was getting ready for the show. What's that, Tracy?
Dr. Leo Marvin.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, at first he's just Leo. I love in the scene where he's like, Dr. Marvin, please don't call me Leo. But you told me in your office. Yes, that's in my office. But here at home, at my home, call me Dr. Marvin.
When I'm wearing a pink shirt, I would like you to call me Miss Val. Any other day, just call me Val.
Okay.
Just kidding. Don't ever call me Miss Val. Don't ever call me Miss Val. I don't want to be in charge. I don't want to be in charge of anything. And I feel like that means I'm in charge of something.
Well,
before we get into What About Bob, can I tell you that next week on our show, I'm actually going to have a movie review of a new movie that's coming out. The Vast of Night. I went and saw The Vast of Night at the drive-in movie theater, and I can actually give you a movie review before the beginning of our show next week because it's on Amazon on the 29th.
Exciting.
I'm so excited. Yeah.
Awesome. That's exciting.
Yeah.
It's nice.
It's been a while since you've been able to do a review.
It has been a while, and I have to say that I posted a picture of a poster on our Facebook page for anybody to see if they saw something different about this movie poster, because I'll post movie posters of movies that are coming out, and nobody could tell me what, like, the difference of it or the interesting thing of it was. If you click on it, it says in theaters. It says in theaters August.
Gotcha.
So they're actually starting to plan and like putting it in, instead of just in an email, it might be happening. They actually sent me that poster.
They're planning on it. Yeah.
Well, have you seen the new trailer for Tenet?
I actually have a whole media package. I have a whole media package for that, so I can post some media clips too on our Facebook page. So
because
I'm excited.
Right in the trailer in theaters. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I think we're seeing more and more things opening up, and I think anyway, I don't know. We're not going to talk about the whole situation necessarily, but yes, it's exciting that it looks like movies may be back in the theaters in some form or fashion, and whatever that looks like, I will be there to see movies for sure. Mask on, mask off, whatever. Well, probably mask on, but
mask on.
Mask on.
Yeah.
Right, fine.
We're not there. You don't need it on right now.
Right. When we go.
Is that one that's one that Mrs. Jake made,
we
right?
Go.
Erica made it, yeah. Doctor Who.
Well, Erica or Mrs. Jake, yeah.
Yeah, but
Mrs.
she's
Jake.
her own person. She's totally Erica.
Yeah, I feel like he's Mr. Erica. I don't.
Yeah,
There you
that's
go.
probably better.
There you go. That's better.
I think he's Mr.
better.
Erica. Let's
That's-
get things
that's
right
better.
here.
Yep. That's awesome. One of my anyway.
I'm gonna start calling you
Fun.
Mr. Erica.
I love it. I would be proud to be Mr. Erica, to be honest. So
Mr. Erica, Mr. Erica.
So Collin, welcome to the
doesn't
show,
even know
my
where to
friend.
Yes.
I'm gonna switch lanes here and welcome Collin again to the show.
That was a very smooth
I thought we
segue,
already
buddy.
welcomed Collin. Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing it again, apparently.
Oh, it was
And
very
thanks
smooth.
everybody who's joining us on Facebook too. We've got a few viewers and we appreciate that.
Hi, everybody.
Collin, who do you feel like from What About Bob that you most likely respond to, like character wise? Would you say that you're the doctor? Would you say that you're Bob? Would you say that maybe you're the wife character? Like, who do you think that?
That's a tough one. I think I would more relate to the daughter.
Oh, okay.
Mainly because, I still get those anxieties around certain individuals, still trying to figure out, me and kind of my direction and dealing with, other family things and struggles within that. And so I'd say it kind of relate more to her at this current state.
Nice.
What about you, Vav?
That's a hard one because like I think I like being outside of this story. Like I like watching it. Like I know the son is super sensitive. The daughter kind of tries to bring them together. The mom is like, "Oh, come on, everything's happy all the time. Let's just have a good time here." And then Richard Dreyfuss is, amazing. I think this is one of my favorite roles of his, being the doctor, because he's just so, maybe I'm a little bit him because he's a little bit into himself, and we all know.
It's unspoken.
I have nothing. I'm not saying anything. Pleading the fifth on that one. Just gonna let it go.
But
You needed the hook.
I feel like the reason why I love this movie so much is because you can kind of see yourself in every character.
Mhm.
We've all had like those moments where we have just idiot blind to the world and we're just like, everything's good. And, and then we've had those moments like where we have a path and we want everyone to follow that path and you have to listen to us. I think we kind of have traveled through each of these characters during different times of our lives. I don't know that I could be around his wife on a daily basis without medication. She's one of my favorite characters, but
Yeah.
I remember watching the movie as a kid and thinking that Dr. Marvin was really kind of a jerk. To his kids and
Still kind of is.
yeah, and he totally is. I'm not saying he's not, but like I have a different sympathy and understanding for him now as a parent and having gone on vacation with my kids and like how stressful that can be. And even just in life, like when I have something hanging over my head, I think I react very similar to Dr. Marvin as far as it stresses me out and I know that I've got to do it and I've got to get through it. But until then, I am not fun to be around. And my wife will call me out on it all the time and be like, all right, why don't you take a few minutes? Because she knows what's really bothering me. And it's not necessarily the kids, but the kids are kind of just, in the way at that point, and which is awful. I'm not saying it's okay and I need to do better, but I have a
think all
different
parents
sympathy
feel
for
that
him.
way.
Yeah.
And we agree. You can be a fun sucker, Jake, but I think the time, when you take a time out, when you step aside and you take a time I'm just kidding. You've never sucked any fun. You've never sucked any fun out of my life. It's always been a hoot every time we're together. But I think with kids, it's definitely that thing is like you have in your mind what you want the day to look like or what you want the vacation to look like. And then you throw kids in there and you throw a wife or a husband in there. And then here comes this guy that just without even trying is like the fun of the party when you, the parent that put the vacation together, want to be the fun. And here comes this person that just reeks of fun no matter what they do and is messing up your whole plan.
Yeah. Well, and I think even aside from that, I mean, it was really inappropriate for Bob, who's his patient, to be up at his vacation home and to go through all those efforts to get there, obviously.
Oh yeah.
And it's to an extreme, but I get that. Like when I'm on vacation or I'm off work, I don't want to do anything related to work. I just don't. Like I want to leave work at the door and I want to be home. And I think in that situation for Dr. Marvin, there's Bob the whole time, who is just a constant reminder that this is work and it's his patient and he just wants to be on vacation and he wants to be with his family. But Bob's there constantly. Yeah. I mean, I love the scene where he throws him out of the house and they're like, why'd you make Bob leave? He's like, you think he's gone? He's not gone. And he opens the door and he's saying, is this a new therapy? Like, what's going on?
This movie is just so quotable. It came out in 1991. I was 16. We went and saw it in the theater, and then we just fell in love with it. We rented it, ended up buying a copy when it was available, wore that copy out. I mean, and watching it again last night just brought back so many memories. We used to just quote it all the time as my family. There's so many great lines in there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, a ton of great lines. Baby steps is one of my favorite things.
I feel good.
Kids all the time.
I feel great. I feel
wonderful.
There are a lot of times in my life in the past couple of years where I'm like, baby steps, baby steps, like just breathe it in and baby steps. Don't think about everything I'm good. I'm great. I'm fine. Like, I think we've all had those moments that he has had. Like I said, in our lives, like last year was one of those moments for me where I was just like, okay, just what would Bob do? Be Bob. What would he do in this instance? And it's just fun. I mean, it is like one of the most, and I think when I rewatched it again, because some of the movies that we talk about, they just don't last. Know what I mean? They don't hold up. And I feel like this movie holds up. Like there are a couple things with like some of the outfits, but I mean, I think that's just also just rich area of people still wear those clothes. Like I've seen people wear those clothes now. So, but for me, it holds up for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are some that definitely, like you said, you've got kind of this nostalgic shine to it. And you're like, it was so great. And then you watch it later and you're like, wow, what was I thinking? That's terrible.
Like, this isn't as good as I remember it being. Yeah, this one definitely does. And I agree with that. And the chemistry between Bob and Leo Marvin, between Bill Murray and Richard Dreyfuss, I think it's something that needs to be talked about because apparently behind the scenes, they couldn't stand each other. Like they did not get along on set at all. And like there are multiple interviews
for some great method acting.
Yeah. And like Bill Murray, he's kind of said, well, yeah, I mean, I want to try to get the best out of people that I perform with. And so I was really just trying to annoy Richard Dreyfuss. And like, there's a little bit of, okay, but he said, but I never took it too far. But I guess like they really didn't get along. Like there was at one point where there was an altercation almost to the point of like a fist fight between the two of them.
Whoa.
So, and that's out there. They've both said it. We didn't get along on set. It was not a pleasant experience. But when it comes out on film, like it works incredible, and it works really, really well.
Well, and now that you go ahead,
I was going to say it's because I think really at the end, Richard Dreyfuss was ready to strap some explosives to Bill Murray and leave him out in the woods to die. So,
Well, I was going to say, knowing what I know about Bill Murray and then knowing what I know about Richard Dreyfuss, what you say makes sense. Dreyfuss was a theater actor.
mhm.
He's very driven. He's very specific. And I could see somebody like Bill Murray goofing off on set or goofing off in between takes or even improvising some lines that might upset him or I could see that. I could see that.
I mean, I think they definitely are their characters in a way.
Mhm.
You know, where Richard Dreyfuss is very much, he likes things this way. And he's done a lot of movies that are like that. He very rarely does movies where his character is out of control, if you think of the other movies that he's done. But Bill Murray has done everything from total ridiculousness to
Mhm.
like really serious. So, you know,
Yeah.
he kind of has done the gamut. But like, yeah, Bill Murray not improvising, that's what
Yeah.
he does.
It's not gonna
That's what
happen.
he's
It's gonna
good
happen.
at. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
that's why we love him.
For
Yeah.
sure.
So I mean, if
Yeah,
if Dreyfuss didn't know what he was getting
It's interesting
into,
to read that and to know that they really just didn't get along. And it does come through. And this was directed by Yoda. I don't know if you guys realize that.
Yep.
I didn't
Yep.
really think about it until I was watching it last night. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that Frank Oz directed
The
this.
great Frank Oz.
And
He also
I don't
did. I'm
know-
going to look it up real quick.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know what other movies he directed, but this was one that I think just worked really, really well. And I don't know
Well,
if
of
he's
course,
done a lot of
he
other
was
comedies.
Part of the Muppet movie, Muppets Take Manhattan, Little Shop of Horrors. He was in Knives Out. He was in The Empire Strikes Back, of course, as Yoda. One of my favorite heist movies, The Score, with Robert
Mhm.
De
I
Niro,
love the
and
score.
we should talk about that one of these days. Edward Norton. That's a good movie.
I love
Um,
heist movies.
I do
Love
too.
'em.
Oh, he directed Bowfinger.
Oh,
Bowfinger is
Oh,
one
I
of the
forgot
funniest
about that
movies
movie.
ever.
It was so funny.
Bowfinger is
ridiculous.
so great. Purple Rain. Heavy Rain.
I was
Oh,
gonna
I'm
say
like,
Purple Rain.
Purple Rain. What?
Sorry.
Whoa!
Dirty
Yeah,
Rotten
my mind
Scoundrels.
is blown.
I know. I would have
Dirty
never
Rotten.
seen Purple Rain coming as a Frank Oz directed film.
House Sitter with Steve
Oh
Martin
my
and Goldie
gosh.
Hawn.
Yeah, I love
Uh,
that show. I don't know if that might be one that doesn't hold up. Like I go back and watch it, and I
Yeah,
was like,
right.
I used to watch this all the time, and now I'm like,
Uh-huh.
what?
What was I thinking? Yeah.
Trading Places.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
So
Okay.
I mean, he's done.
So he's done quite a
yeah.
few.
Mhm. Great comedic director. But
Yes.
I love when the score where it's very serious and that's a good heist movie.
Yeah. I thought you were talking for a minute about the score to this film. I'm like, yeah, I guess the music
Oh.
was pretty good. I didn't really. I mean, it wasn't bad.
It was good because there are so many parts when they're in the hospital in the facility. I remember that music specifically because it makes you feel like instead of being trapped up, because Bob's there, it's kind of this little whimsical kind
Mhm.
of, thing. Like I remember that scene music specifically.
Mhm. It
and the
totally took
music
me back.
it was very precise. It brought you to the next moment. It wasn't overwhelming, but I do
Mhm.
remember there were a couple of times, and when he's teaching him how to swim, that music was a part of like my favorite. But that and the music that was when they're actually in the facility. I don't know. I mean, is it the mental
The asylum. Yeah.
asylum?
Yeah.
The mental health facility.
Yeah. Yeah. The one
I
he
know
tries
that
to get
was
him.
PC.
Yeah. I don't know.
can't keep him for more than 24 hours. Oh, don't worry.
Yeah. And then she calls him right back, like, look, it's going to be embarrassing if I try to commit him because he's fine.
I love how manic it just ramps up the level of mania with Dr. Marvin. It just keeps getting higher and higher.
Well,
And then one of my
it's-
favorite jokes is that they say at the end, well, can't get any worse than this. And then we cut to Bill Murray getting married to Dr.
Yes.
Marvin's sister.
and he can't quite get out of his catatonic state in time to say no. He's sitting there grunting until I now pronounce you man and wife. No. So it's interesting that you bring that up because on the one hand, that's exactly right. We can see that mania with Dr. Marvin ramping up throughout the film. And then we're seeing the opposite with Bob, right?
Mhm.
Because at the very beginning, it is very clear that he's cuckoo, and cuckoo's not the right word. It's very clear that he has problems. I'm sorry,
He has
cuckoo is
some
absolutely
issues.
not the right word, but he has
He
some
definitely
issues.
can't read the room. He can't read the room.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
I think that's what it is like, he's very, he can't read the room at all.
Well, and he's obvious. He's like agoraphobic. He can't go outside. Like it's hard for him to do that. He works at home at a time when like nobody really worked from home. Now everybody works from home. What's the big deal? But and then he, obviously he's got a lot of problems and struggles that he's trying to get through mental health wise. But then toward the end, he does come across as much more normal while Dr. Marvin is experiencing his own struggles and having his own issues.
He basically sucked the sanity out of the doctor. He sucked the sanity
He's
out
a
of
sanity
him.
sucker.
They switched places. Like you're the fun sucker. He's the sanity sucker.
Yes. It's perfect.
Like Freaky Friday.
He's like a sanity vampire. Like an energy vampire, but a sanity vampire.
Watch What We Do in the Shadows. Okay.
But it's true. You see, I mean, because at the beginning, let's think about how extreme he went to find Dr. Marvin after he left on vacation. Like
Betty?
When he calls the answering service the first time, she's like, I can't give you that number, Bob. I know, but can't you connect me because this is an emergency, whatever. And then he shows up at the answering service pretending to be a cop saying that Bob had killed himself. Like it just, all the steps that he takes to, and each time, like Dr. Marvin has these levels of defense. Like he's got the answering service that's supposed to kind of buffer him from getting the phone calls.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's got like, he doesn't know where his address is. All they have is a PO box.
He hires a lady of the evening to pretend to be Dr. Marvin's sister.
Yes. And I love how every time when he answers the phone, he's like, don't be mad, Dr. Marvin. But like, obviously he knows he's stepped over, but
for sure.
It's crazy the amount of effort that it goes to.
I love the scene that you were talking about when he's calling the answering service because she's like, I can't do that. And he turns his head and you can see this anguish on his face. And then he comes back and he's like, oh, I know. So it's like he's getting it out so that he can talk to Betty.
He's taking a moment. I can't help but take this movie and kind of relate it to As Good as It Gets because when you look at Jack Nicholson's character is it's almost the same as Bill Murray's character here, but they go two drastically different situations, although they have all the same problems. And so it's interesting to have two of similar characters that can't read the room, that can't go outside, that have all these problems, that need to have what they need to have right now. And one of them's very angry about what they need to have right now in this mental state. And the other one just wants to be happy and make everyone happy. But at the same time, he's ruining everything. They're both ruining everything. Mm-hmm. But one's very angry and one's very happy or nervous or whatever the heck he is. But when you describe the characters outside of the movies, they're almost the same character, but then you put them inside their movie and they're two just totally different movies.
Mm-hmm. One has a dog, one has a goldfish.
Gil
the goldfish.
Oh, Gil.
I love As Good as It Gets. That's one that we should talk about on the show sometime. That's a really good movie.
It's one of my favorites. Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
What'd you say, Collin?
Would you like me to hold your fish?
Yeah.
Oh, he's been in here for 5 hours. We need to give me a bowl. Give me a bowl.
I love, I mean, there's just so many scenes that are so quotable. I love when he tells him to take a vacation from his problems. He's like, a vacation from my problems. So then he shows up at his house again the next morning. And he's like, oh no, this isn't a patient visit. This is a vacation visit. I'm just a friend, a neighbor down the road. Here's some flowers for your wife. And it's like, he does not, like you said, Val, he doesn't read the room. He doesn't get it at all. And he keeps stepping over these bounds.
Oh, and how great are the Gundersons?
The Gutmans? Is it Gutmans or
excuse me, the Gutmans, yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Son of a bitch.
She never says that.
And then when the house is burning, they're like, burn!
I think I'm those guys. I think I'm those guys.
Yeah, just watching it
that's
all
who I
fall
relate
apart.
to.
You don't need to talk to him on the phone. I'll drive you to his house.
We'll take
Oh, I know right where he lives. Really? Sure. Yes, they are so
Eating popcorn
perfect.
while they ruin his life. Yeah.
Mhm. See you later, Bobby.
literally just watching his life burn.
Yep.
I had every
Oh my
right to buy this house.
There's so many different elements like that in this movie that they thought of, like he can't just be like this curmudgeon, which he totally is, but his neighbors hate him, and his family just puts up with him, and his wife is definitely on like 7 different kinds of medication. And like, not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's where she's at in her life. Or she could just be from like one of the Dakotas, because they're really happy all the time.
True.
And then you've got his son who's struggling with his fixation on death. Sorry, Tracy, we keep cutting you off.
Yeah.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I was going to say both Bob and Dr. Marvin, with a different actor, could have been gone off the rails, and you'd hate that character. Like both of them are right on the edge of being like, oh my gosh, knock it off. And instead, both of them just tread that line just beautifully.
Yeah, for sure. And I know one of the actors that they were considering, I think, in the movie was Patrick Stewart to play Dr. Marvin. And it would have been a very different movie.
That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know that it would have worked, really. I mean, Patrick Stewart's brilliant. I think he can play whatever.
Sure.
But I think Richard Dreyfuss just has that obsessiveness. He's
got a little bit better comic timing.
He's a little bit more high-strung. Like, it just worked.
I also think that you want to like Patrick Stewart, like regardless of the role that he's in, like even if he's annoying, he's still he's Patrick Stewart, right? But when you get Richard Dreyfuss, he is like this nice guy, and you want to like him, but at the same time, because of what he looks like and kind of who he is, you're kind of like, oh, do I like him? I don't know. He's really being a jerk. I don't know that I could look at Patrick Stewart in the face and say, you're kind of being a jerk. I would still, whatever nonsense is coming out of his British mouth, I'd be like, oh, that's adorable.
Yep. You're like, I'm ready to follow you to war with the Borg. Like,
just
no problem.
Just sign me up.
I'm ready to go. Yeah. And Richard Dreyfuss, I think you're right. I think just naturally, the way he plays his characters, it is much easier to just not. Yeah.
There's a little more of an edge.
Yeah. I mean, even like you look at some of his early work, like Jaws, he's one of the least likable characters in Jaws. And he's not supposed to be
I was going to bring that
bad guy.
I want to bring up Jaws. At any time when he got on the boat, was anyone else hoping that somewhere there would be a shark? Every time I watch it, I'm just hoping that there's going to be a shark reference when he gets on the boat. Come on. Like, even in the background, no. Like, just right there. Just look behind Jake. Just look behind Jake. Just to the back. There's
a little shark back. Yeah, it'd be perfect.
Pulling a dinghy,
or if they...
maybe Bob's on the dinghy. Come on, people.
It would work. Or at some point, if they could have said something about needing a bigger boat or something, some kind of callback.
Yep. It's a very good point.
I hope every time that it never happens, but I hope.
Well, his character is even kind of a jerk. Do you remember the movie? This is a little bit obscure. The Goodbye Girl. That he was in? Where he's the out of work actor.
I haven't seen that movie forever.
Neil Simon, yeah, and he plays this out of work actor who his friend or something had left him an apartment, and then it turns out that the friend's girlfriend is still living there with her daughter, and he's trying to make it work, and he's great in that one too. But yeah, I love him in Jaws. I'm a big Richard Dreyfuss fan. I've heard in real life he's kind of a not so great person. Yeah, but I like his acting.
I just think that he's serious, and I think people that are a little more serious in their demeanor, people automatically think that they're dicks, but they're not. They're just a little more serious. They might be fun suckers, but it's not that they're mean or anything.
No, and I think that that's it exactly. Like, this is a different role for him. He doesn't play a
Officer
lot of. What's that, Tracy?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, I thought I heard somebody say something. I don't know, but I think that typically he's not going to be in a slapstick type comedy like this, and so it's a little bit different for him, because he is typically in a more serious role and he takes his acting very seriously. But even in like Mr. Holland's Opus, where you love the guy, there are moments where I'm like, I just really don't like him.
You want to shake him. You want to shake him and be like, "This is your kid," you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I have not seen Mr. Holland's Opus on purpose for about 13 years.
It's been a long time.
Oh, really? I
don't
love that
know
movie. He was
I don't know how well it
Poseidon.
held up.
I don't know. We might have to do it on the show and see. But I have not watched it for a long time.
Oh my gosh, I forgot he was in Down and Out in Beverly Hills.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Wow, I forgot about that one.
I have to watch that now just because.
Just to see.
And
Richard
he was
Dreyfuss
in Stakeout. He was pretty funny in Stakeout.
Stakeout was good.
Yeah. So he does, but I still don't know that
he has a little bit of a sense of humor.
He does have good comic timing.
I'm sure he has a sense of humor, but again, I think he typically comes
across more straight.
Yeah, he comes across more straight-laced, a little bit more serious, and which worked out well in this movie. And I think that's why he played so well against Bill Murray's Bob Wiley. So, what's your
I think Colin's playing video games. Collin, what are you doing over there?
Collin, are you still with us? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Did we lose you?
Dealing with a work outage at the same time.
Oh man.
Now, I was going to say, Collin obviously has quite the good selection of Funkos behind him.
Yeah.
And they just announced they're releasing What About Bob Funkos.
Really?
And Bob has a shirt that says, "Don't hassle me, I'm local."
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
He shows up with that
remember
shirt.
What was the other one?
There was one where he's in his life vest from
That's right.
when he's sailing.
When he's
a sailor. I sail now.
Sailed. Ahoy!
I'm a sailor. I sail now. Isn't this a breakthrough? And he's
I
just walking as
want
quickly as
that
he
shirt.
can.
I want that shirt. I sailed. I'm a sailor.
Yes.
Ahoy.
Oh my gosh.
I know that everybody's into the Funkos, but I'm more into the Tsum Tsums.
I'm hit or miss on the Tsum Tsums, but those up ones are cute.
Those are adorable.
Those are very cute.
Those are good.
And we've got a few Tsum Tsums around. The kids like them. I look like I have them on the floor right now. I don't, but the kids have some.
They're not just laying on your floor right now.
No.
So
I do have
of
this
course,
guy here.
The tide would come in and
but
Aw.
Samwise
Sam?
Gamgee. Yep.
I need a Samwise. I need to talk to your wife. She makes all the things I need. I need a Sam. I need one.
She made this one, and I was like, so there were like 9 people in the fellowship. I'm just saying.
But he's the most important. Everyone needs a Sam, and I have 2. I need that Sam. I'm not going to steal him from you yet. But I'm just saying my birthday's in August. My birthday's in August.
You'll have to call my answering service, and we'll see if they'll patch you through.
Well, August, he's going to be on vacation until Labor Day.
Can we talk about that? So we've got this movie that we're covering this week. Next week, we're talking about Summer Rental. Both of these involve families that are going on vacation for like a month. Was this a common thing in the 80s and 90s that people would go on vacation for a month at a time?
That's what Europeans do. Europeans go on holidays. Like they go on vacation for like a month at a time and they still get paid. Like I want to go on a vacation for a month at a time, but really only be on vacation with other people for a week. But then the rest of the time on vacation by myself.
That sounds perfect. Like I want a cabin in the woods where I can just be by myself and my family, of course, because I love them and stuff.
No, I have a hard time even just taking a vacation for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the end of it, I'm just
I think that's the longest I've taken one.
So while you're
Yeah.
working, you're sitting there going, I need a vacation. And then you go on a vacation, and then you're like, I got to get back to work.
Yep.
I mean, Colin can't even do a podcast episode without dealing with work stuff. So I don't know how he could do a vacation.
You know, it doesn't always go well, let me tell you. The world of IT kind of
The
always.
world of IT.
I've had that before where I'm on vacation and then I get like a text from a boss or whatever. And like, hey, did you see this email? No, because I was like in line at Disneyland. So
Mhm.
I wasn't looking at my work email. So it happens, not a lot, but I can't imagine going for a month. Like, what are these people that go for multiple weeks at a time on vacation? Like, that's just weird
if
to me.
somebody wants to do a study and they want to send me on vacation for a month just to see,
Right.
Absolutely.
then I'll go.
That's sacrifice.
Yeah, I'll go to Europe for a month and see if it can happen and be okay.
Right. And to be clear, I'm not anti month-long vacation. I just don't know
Right.
how that
Who's got
even
that?
happens.
Yeah, like who has jobs unless you have your own company? Who has jobs that lets you off for that long? And how do you have the money? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah. But it was just a question that I thought about as I was watching these movies, and I thought, wait a second, that's a long vacation. Like from beginning of August through Labor Day is a long time. But he does actually practice.
On The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, they go to whatever, like they go out to this camping place where they don't actually camp, but they go out there for the whole summer. They leave New York for the whole summer to go out there. Like, who does that? Only
Do they have
rich people.
unshucked corn there?
I have no idea.
Is this freshly shucked?
It's freshly shucked? That sounds amazing, by the way. Can somebody freshly shuck me some corn? Because that sounds amazing.
I think it's too early for corn. Isn't corn late summer, early fall? I don't remember.
I saw it in the grocery store today.
It's available. It really gets good later in the summer, but
yeah. That's what I meant. Like the local
vacation I ever had was 14 days when I went to Spain.
When I went to France,
but it's like it's like 2, 3, almost 4 days of it is flying. You know, like
you almost have to if you're going to Europe or something like that. You've got to take more time because of the travel time. Like if you take only a week off, half your time is going to be getting there, and then you're going to have no time to actually see anything.
Yeah.
From what I understand, I've never traveled to Europe. But.
I took 2 weeks and went to France, and my boss was like, "You can never do that again. Like you cannot be gone that long ever again."
Yeah.
There are now limits on the time you can take off.
Like at my work, there's not a limit to how much we can take off. It's just how much vacation time have you accrued. But they definitely, if you were to ask for more than a week, like I took a week and a day off, and they definitely kind of start looking at you a little sideways, like that's a long vacation.
Time. Yeah.
We're backwards here in the United States.
Yeah, it's true. It's very different.
I'm going to hit 5 years. 5 years at my job in June, and I will get 3 weeks of vacation.
High five. Me too. High five. June 1st is my 5-year anniversary at the radio station being on the air.
5 years?
That's
5
awesome.
years on the air.
That's awesome, Val.
B98.7. Everybody should listen.
Val and Mike in the morning. I like that she gets top billing too. It's not Mike and Val. It's Val and Mike.
I mean, again, going back to everything being about me. Just kidding. It wasn't my decision. I had nothing to do with it.
But
you were saying about hitting 5 years.
Oh, I was just going to say that'll give me 3 weeks of vacation. You got to hit.
Yeah, but that's for the whole year.
10, oh yeah. But again, I can't take more than about a week off at a time.
Yeah. Because then it's like, well, what are we going to do while you're gone for that amount of time?
Yeah.
Like, I think everybody's willing to help cover for me at work for like a week. But if it's longer than that, then it's kind of like, well, that's a long time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But it is weird. I need a job where I can take a month off. That sounds perfect.
Yeah, you're not kidding. But I got to say,
people kind of know this when I'm gone for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're kind of half the show.
Val and Mike in the morning.
Can I
See,
say
Colin's
like
just waiting for his time, and then he just pounces.
Val might get that if she ever watched Community, but
Yeah.
oh, so that's what won the poll, by the way. So I have to start watching Community first because
Community
won
ended up winning the poll?
Community didn't win. It was Parks and Rec.
I thought it did. Are you sure?
Parks and
Tell her it was
Rec
I thought it
Community.
was
68% or something like that.
Tell her it was.
Let me
Tell her it
double
was Community.
check, but I thought it was Community.
Tell her
So-
it was Community.
I'm gonna scroll while you guys.
It should have been Community.
So
You're
here's
the one
the
that
thing.
released it to the Comic-Con people. Of course, they're going to pick Parks and Rec.
I love Parks and Rec. It's probably one
I
of
do
my
too.
favorite shows,
I do too.
but I think Val's going to like Community better.
I think Val's going to like Community
I
better.
think we
Yeah.
should just
Why-
go off of
why-
our opinion.
Why do you think?
It's a little
Why
bit.
do you think I'm gonna like?
It's a
Community
little
better?
bit more biting. It's a little bit more
Mhm.
edgy comedy. Whereas Parks and Rec is just this, and it's got some bite to it too, but it's very warm and fuzzy, and Community is
Mhm.
very sharp and edgy
Well, I
at times.
feel like
yeah.
it takes a full
Are you
season.
saying that I'm not warm and fuzzy?
I walked right into that
No,
one.
Parks and Rec. Sorry, I'm wrong. Parks and Rec is 65%. Communities at 35%. So Parks and Rec first, and then Community.
Don't thumbs down Parks and Rec.
We're really.
I love
Listen,
Parks and Rec. I do.
You thumbs down it again, and I'm just going to hide you. I'm just going to like boop. Oh, no more Tracy.
Tracy, where'd you go?
Where'd I go? Is this some kind of new therapy, Jake?
It
Is
is.
this-
It's a radical
Is this
new
hiding
therapy. Boom.
Disappearance
If
therapy.
you disagree with me, I am going to make you disappear.
Like it used to. It
You've
used to
gone
just be.
power
I'd say.
mad.
I used to just say that's fair. Now I just make you disappear.
You've
That's
gone
all.
He
power
deletes
mad.
you. Delete.
Delete.
Baby steps
Delete.
to delete me.
Deleted.
Have you gotten a little power hungry with being remote now, Jake?
Right?
Yep. There's no consequences
You
now.
feel like you have the controls in your hand?
Now that he's like one of the head people at Stolendroids, he thinks he can just do anything.
Seriously.
That's true. I'm running amok as
It's on
we
the
speak.
mothership show.
Amok, 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 amok.
Amok. So let's talk about death therapy. This is like when it gets to that point in the show where he's going and he's looking for the ways to kill Bob, and it takes you a minute to realize that's what he's doing is he's breaking into the store, right?
Too messy.
The gun. He's like, no, too messy. And then he gets to the arrow, not painful enough. And I'm thinking that's a pretty painful way. Like I can't imagine that an arrow feels good when you get shot with it. And then he gets the explosive and he's like, perfect.
So I was
And again, I guess I just have never looked for it, but this has come up on the show before, but apparently you can just go buy explosives at the store. I don't know. Is that a thing? I have no idea.
Yeah, I found that out watching Tiger King.
Yeah.
You can.
That's when it came up before.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I was talking to my sister today before we came on the air, and I told her we were doing What About Bob? She said she had watched it with her kids who are all grown. They're all in high school and college. And she said they're watching it. When they got to the death therapy part, one of my nieces turned to her and she was like, this got really dark. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love how excited he gets when Bob asks him, where he's like, Bob, 1 or 2 tablespoons of this will blow up an entire stump. Well, how much do I have around me? 20 pounds.
Pounds worth.
He's so excited.
And I love how
excited.
How is this a clean method? His body parts are literally gonna just.
Yeah.
He's going to be all over.
How is a gun too messy? But blowing someone up is that's fine. That's
You've got the forest fire on top of that, and
You're spreading it all over the place, so it's little bits and pieces all over.
little bits and pieces of Bob everywhere throughout the forest.
And then I love where he's like, "Don't worry about Gil. I'm going to fatten him up, and then I'm going to eat him."
Well, and even as he's tying him up, and Bob's going through like, I wasn't ready for Dr. So and so and so and so, and he's naming all of the therapists that he'd gone through or the analysts that he'd gone through, and he finally stops, and Dr. Marvin's like, the difference between them and me is I'm gonna kill you, Bob. And like throughout all this, Bob still thinks it's therapy. He doesn't even make the connection it's real. And Leo's really gonna kill him. Like he is.
So you're saying I'm tied up inside. I'm tied up inside. I've got to release myself.
But it's
or else I'm going to explode.
Baby steps really
You're
work.
a
And he
genius.
got himself out of the ropes.
That's true. Baby steps untie the ropes and he got out. It was fine.
I love
He
it when
reminds me of Tandy off of The Last Man on Earth. Like Tandy is so clueless. If you've seen The Last Man on Earth, the main character is so clueless that he just doesn't get it. And
Right.
I feel like it's the same, except for, of course, Bill Murray does it in a better fashion. But yeah.
Oh, I love when he's singing to him when he comes back to the house. He's like, "Your death therapy killed me, you genius."
Leo Marvin, the genius.
Your
death therapy cured me, you genius.
That is so quintessential Bill Murray. Like that, the way he sings that, it's like nobody else could get that.
Yeah, I want to know how much of this is another movie. I want to know how much of this was scripted and how much of it was like them just letting Bill Murray do what Bill Murray does.
I'll tell you the one line that I would bet the house on that was improvised is when Siggy and Bob are having the sleepover party, and then Richard Dreyfuss says, "I want peace and I want quiet," and Bill Murray says, "I'll be quiet," and the kid just kind of pauses for a second, and goes, "I'll be peace," and their reaction, like Bill Murray loses it. I would bet anything that was an improv line by that kid and slayed Bill Murray.
And the moment too, because when he's standing there with his wife and she's cracking up and he's like dead serious, and I've had that moment as a parent where I'm like yelling at the kids and they do something stupidly cute like that, and my wife is cracking up. I'm like, they are in trouble. This is not a time to be laughing at them. But I know it's hilarious too. Like there have been two where they do it. They're like, we're trying to tell them like, go to bed, and like we're mad at them or whatever, and they do something stupid cute like that, and then we have to like cover our mouths so they don't know.
The stairs?
Yeah.
No, that wouldn't be funny at all. That. Throwing poop down the stairs? My kids have never done that.
So much poop.
The joys of fatherhood.
You know,
my favorite. You got to explain the story.
As a father, I never thought that I would see so much poop in my life.
Oh yeah, it's eye-opening.
But yeah, so my kid decides, like I'm just working in my office, and I smell poop, and I'm like, "Oh, go find your mom. She'll change your diaper."
That's my favorite.
He's like 18 months old, so he just skips out of my office, and then goes down the stairs, and my wife just hears these like little droppings just falling, and she's probably just thinking, "Oh, he's just throwing a crown or something down the stairs." And then he goes all the way down the stairs to my wife and says, "Here you go, mommy," and hands her a piece of poop. And at that moment, she's just like, "Oh no, oh no."
Collin, get up here.
Immediately, Collin!
Dad told me to.
Chuck poop all over.
Poop checker.
And there are dads out there just thinking, your rookie mistake was just sending him to go find mom. If you just changed his diaper to begin with.
Yep. Would have been fine. But no.
Jake's like, "Trust me, I've been through these battles. I've been through the war." Rookie.
Since this, my wife has PTSD because he'll come over and hand her something. Sometimes it's not.
Guess what's in my hand, mommy?
Yeah, you don't know. It's scary now.
Oh my god.
My youngest is still not potty trained, and he's almost 4. He's just taking his time, whatever. But my favorite thing about it is I'll smell it and I'll be like, "Are you poopy? Did you poop in your pants again?" And he's like, "I don't know." How do you not know? How I don't understand how you don't know.
Like, you feel it?
Like, I can't imagine. Anyway, this is taking a weird turn. I'm sorry, but
So we've got Fun Sucker, we've got Sanity Sucker, we got Poop Chucker.
yeah. Well, nope, I was going to make a comment, but I'll stop. I was going to say something about having all the uckers on the show, but we won't.
No.
Favorite part about the movie? Favorite part, and what about Bob?
I really
If you had
like
to pick.
when he was in what do you call it? I want to say asylum.
Car, house.
And like all the doctors are surrounding him, and he just said,
Okay.
"Roses are red, violets are blue. I'm schizophrenic, and so am I."
Yeah, well, you're the one that keeps drawing the dirty picture.
Yeah, I love when he's telling that joke, and he's just telling it so casually and comfortably.
Oh, that
Doctor asks him, "What do you see with this picture?"
Yeah.
Sex. And then they all start laughing. Like, I haven't even gotten to the funny part yet. Like, it's so well played and so well done. I love it. I love it.
I kind of wonder if that's another improvised part. Like, I wonder if Bill Murray was just telling jokes.
Yeah, and they were just like, just sit here and pretend like you're saying something funny. Okay, and then he actually
riff on, yeah.
Oh, I could definitely see that. I
love.
Go ahead.
I love the interview part because it shows when he's doing the interview, when they come over to his house, it just shows how pretty soon he's going to unravel all the way. Like you can see at that moment, you can see just all of his sanity. He's trying to hold on to it and he's losing it. And he's the only one that's having a problem with anything. Everyone else is just fine. They don't understand why he's so upset, which is basically what a crazy person feels like, right? And so you kind of see in that moment that things are going to turn, and they're going to switch places because you can see him unraveling, and I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, and as soon as
a great moment
he switches seats and Bob takes the next you just know, like, he's taken my family at this point. He's taken my interview. He's taken my moment to shine.
Well, and even when he's driving him, when they're driving to the hospital and they get to the guard tower thing, and the guard's like, "Hey, aren't you Bob Wiley? I saw you on TV this morning." Like, that just sums up everything. Like, that's the moment where it's all just summed up, where he has just taken everything from Leo Marvin at that point, and he's done. He's gone over the edge.
Oh, well, I would like to say that Baby Steps is a very good book, and I'm very proud of it. Given that robotic speech, and Bob was like, "Let me tell you how it's changed my life."
Yeah, and it's only been like a weekend for Bob. He's only had it. Yeah. But I love at the very beginning when he gets the call from his old analyst or therapist, and he's like, "Oh yeah, he's a great patient, comes on time, pays early, like whatever," and then he hangs up. Free.
which echoes what Marvin does later on in the show. Yeah.
Yep. When he's dancing around free after he dropped him off at the hospital. It's so good, start to finish. There are so many moments where I'm like, "Oh, I forgot how funny this part was. Oh yeah, I love this part," just because there is so many great moments. I think it's one that's definitely holds up. I think it's one that you can watch over and over again. What grade would you give it, Tracy? We'll start with you and then go to Val, and then Collin, we'll let you weigh in.
I'd probably be like a B+. Really funny movie, holds up really well. And it's interesting because it's only like an hour and 40 minutes. And nowadays it's really hard, even with a comedy, to find something under 2 hours. So that kind of surprised me. I'm with what Val said earlier. There's a few things you could kind of tweak, but overall, like a solid B+, right in that range for me. Yeah. Maybe A-,
Okay.
but that's where I'm at.
Yeah,
Val?
I'd give it a solid B plus. For me, I think it's it's a great timing comedy. Again, it holds up. It's not a movie that I can watch all the time. I kind of put it in the same place as kind of like Groundhog Day. There are some brilliant things about the film, but there are things about the film that also annoy me, but I think it's supposed to, right? Like
Yeah.
these two characters are annoying. And so I can't always get into that state of mind. So I can't watch it all the time, but I do think that it's brilliant by both Richard Dreyfuss and Bill Murray. I think these are two really great roles for them. And yeah, so I think I would say BB plus.
What about you, Colin?
Yeah, I'm the same. It's not one that I would go and watch over and over again for sure. It's something I'd pick up, once every couple of years or so, or when I'm just in the mood for it. But I think that the actors were spectacular in it. You could definitely feel that strain of emotion all the time, and there's so many things that you can relate to. So yeah, I would say B plus.
Yeah, I would put it as a solid B plus as well. I think it's just really good. It's hard for me to put it in the A category just because it is so silly and so over the top that it's hard to put it like for me, like to get an A or even an A minus, it's got to be somewhat serious. I don't know, but B plus, I could watch it over and over again. I really like it a lot. And I think it's definitely worth, I think it holds up. Check it out if you haven't for a long time. It's a good laugh. It's a lot of fun. So, well, thank you everybody for joining us today for What About Bob. Next week, we won't be live, but we will have a video up around this time on Saturday. We are covering summer rentals. So you have a week to prepare for that.
John Candy,
1984, I believe, is when the film came out.
I believe so.
It's one, honestly, Tracy recommended it. I hadn't ever seen it before.
Really?
So, yeah. So I
Oh.
watched it for the first time. So I'll give you kind of my first time reaction to it. But yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about next week. It's another fun summer vacation type comedy movie. So join us then. You can find us on Facebook, obviously, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, all the places. And you can send feedback to podcasts@moviesthatmakeus.com. We'd love to hear from you if you have any suggestions for the show, any episodes you'd like to see us do. We would love to hear about it. Thanks so much for listening, and we won't see you at the movies.
Bye, friends.
See ya.